This is Lady Myya. Hello, you guys. I am back. Okay, listen. I have this phenomenal woman. Okay, her name is Holly Youngblood. Okay, and I have the honor of just kind of like talking to her. She is a busy woman. She's doing so much for families and different things like that. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much because I get to talking. That's it. So, my Mayan tribe, please welcome Miss Holly Youngblood. Hello. Hey. Alrighty, so I'm going to ask you just a few questions just so we can get to know you better. Okay, so tell us, what do you do, Miss Holly?
So I'm a family law attorney, practicing exclusively family law. I don't dabble in other areas. It's just family stuff.
All right. So when you say family law, can you give us, maybe the sub-subjects of that?
Sure. So divorce, of course. Most people, when they think about family law, they're thinking about divorce, but we also do custody modifications. And we get to do occasional adoptions, so those are really fun. But that's really about it. We like to stay focused just on family law because it's a huge area of practice in and of itself. So we think it's better to be specialized in an area so that we can really dive deep into what the law really says. Mm-hmm. So stick with what we know, and we know family law.
Well, I think that's awesome because of the fact that you actually just having that one specific thing that you're good at, you're just going to get better and better with time. And then you give, so much more time to those that are involved as well. So I think that is a phenomenal thing. Definitely. Okay, Miss Beloved. Okay, so tell me, why did you open your own law firm?
So that's kind of a funny story. So I practice with my husband, Paul, and we run the firm together. Paul's been licensed longer than I have, and when he started his practice, he just knew he was going to be a prosecutor. He wanted to put bad guys in jail, and life had a different decision for him, so he ended up opening his own practice. Swore he wouldn't do family law, and ended up that's what came through the door. And the more he did it, the more he liked it, and he convinced me that it was a cool area of practice as well. So we've been doing family law exclusively in the firm for 6 years now, and I really, at this point, I couldn't imagine doing any other area of law. We just like it.
I like that. Okay. So, the dynamic duo, love it. Definitely. Okay. So if you could just kind of give me, like, I know you just gave me the backstory, but you being a lawyer, how did that happen?
So I took the long way here. So I've done many other things in life before I went back to school and became an attorney. In my former life, I was a teacher. So I taught junior high kids and did that for probably 9 years, I think, before I decided to go back to school and become an attorney. I just was ready for a change. And like I said, Paul convinced me that family law was the place to be. And the more I do it, the more I like it. We can add generational value to clients through the work we do. So we try to design a possession schedule and a decree that looks long term, not just past what are we doing on the date of divorce, but also how does this look years down the road. Our goal when we work with clients is to preserve the relationship as much as we can when kids are involved, because ultimately the divorce decree gets you divorced, but if you're parenting, those people are still going to be in your life. And so the better that relationship it remains, the more of it that remains intact, the better off parties are going to be, and the better it is for the kids. So that's what I mean when we add generational growth or value to the case. Other areas of law, hopefully, if you have a criminal matter and you get through it, hopefully you're not going to have another one down the road.
Right.
But with family law, it's different. Most of the time there are going to be issues that pop up in the future. And so we try to solve as many of those as we can from the outset.
Wow, that is so deep though, because we tend to think about all the good when we get into a relationship and everything's all sunshine and rainbows and like we're having all the good things. We call it the cupcake phase. Everything is sweet, and then time down the line, you get to the point where it's like, if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna kill this person. I cannot do this today. No, 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 no. This has been over and over and over and over again. But a lot of the communication kind of get lost in translation, and I'm pretty sure you had it to where that's what I was saying. I was saying the same thing. I think that is so interesting because it's like I can only imagine, them trying to say the exact same thing and then coming to your establishment or even being in court after that, and it's just like, yeah, well, we here now.
Yeah. So try to keep it as amicable as you can. Of course, it's not amicable. We fight for our client when we need to. But if we can get the parties working together for the kids, that's always beneficial to everyone.
Right. You being in law, right? What are you finding that you're getting from being in law? Are you willing to just kind of help people or kind of guide them and lead them to the right direction? Or is this just kind of more of a okay, you actually have to have a case first kind of situation? You don't know.
Well, so for us, my first responsibility to the client is to tell them the truth. And I tell them even as early as in the consult, part of my job as your attorney is to always tell you where you stand. And sometimes you're not going to like what I have to say. And so this is one of those times, here's the reality of your situation. If they don't have a case, we just tell them from the beginning. I don't take a case unless I think I can add value to the client. So they just, it's not the right time. Maybe they will have a case, it's just not ready yet. Or,
right.
Maybe there are facts that need to be cleaned up and taken care of before we jump off into litigation. So absolutely. My role as a counselor at law also includes counseling clients about their new reality. As I was talking about how a divorce is a chance, it's a new beginning because you get to start over. The flip side of that is sometimes, especially if we're dealing with a client who's been a stay-at-home mom for years and years and years, her new reality probably is going to include getting back in the workforce. And it may also include the fact that she needs to go back to school and get some skills updated that will allow her to be self-sufficient. There is no substitute for being self-sufficient. And so if her skill set is not going to allow her to make enough money to be able to support herself and the kids when they're in her possession, then she's going to need to go back to school. It just is what it is, So I see it as part of my role is to be very frank with people and tell them, look, here are some things you need to consider you're okay for right now. We might be able to get some things set up that provide for you financially right now, but that's going to end at some point in the future, and that's when you're going to need to be able to support yourself.
Exactly.
So those are conversations we have. You know, if my client is the one who's doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing with the kids, like, you know, talking about litigation, we'll have those conversations too, because I see that as part of my role. You know,
Right.
court,
That's wow.
yeah, the court doesn't like it when you talk about the other parent, right? So, you know, part of that's part of my job, is to get you ready to be um, the best parent you can be for the court. And so if we need to change some things that are going on, we have those conversations.
Right. No, I hear you. Wow. I know those things hurt. Oh God, don't I know it? I don't know. But I understand because, like, you know, a lot of people are so emotional when it comes to things like that. And whether you don't like the person or they did something or what have you, you cannot take that to the court and think you're going to be okay because you're upset. That's not going to happen. And I think it's so interesting for people to wear their heart on their sleeve, as it will, because, like, you can, but at the same time, it's just not going to make any sense to everybody else. So you just you want to be as you know, as present as possible. One, you definitely want to think about the kid first, always. That's foremost, because this could ruin a child's life. One, not just the mother's life or the father's life, but the child's life. That's the most important. The child didn't ask to be here.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's very important, to be able to at least negotiate, talk it out, have these things. Because, like, the only reason why you really go into the courts is because y'all can't come to, you know, the decision to actually make this thing work. This is why you're there.
That is 100% accurate. Yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's, we always try to reach agreements when we can. It's always better for the parties if they, you know, can reach an agreement outside of court. I tell my clients, you know, you can win on bad facts and you can lose on good facts. You know, judges are people and they have off days just like everyone else. You know, you don't know if the person who just went before the judge before you made them mad, and now they're not in a good mood and they may rule differently than they would have otherwise. That, you know, they're human. That they try not to, but that sometimes happens. So if you make an agreement on your own and just, you know, avoid going to court, that's always best. If it's not, then we go to court and we roll the dice,
Right.
see what the court's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to always win in your favor. That's all I'm going to say. Because, you know, a lot of women think, like, well, because he's supposed to, and he's this, that, and third. You never know. He might walk out there with your child. And then what? Now what? You know, what do you say then? And so it's more so, now your foot is in your mouth. You're trying to figure out what you're doing now, because now everything that you said before you even got there has been thrown out. And no, now you really have to, you know, do some soul searching and really, really, like, come to the grips that, okay, maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe there was something, you know, that was missing in the paperwork. Now I need to, i.e., communicate better with my attorney and be like, okay, I just got knocked off my high horse. What should I do now?
Exactly.
I think that is so awesome. I mean, well, not that that's awesome, but that, you know, you get a chance to actually help families, you know, if not stay together, be I know I'm saying it wrong because I don't know. I can't hear in one of those ears, so everything sounds weird. But more together when you guys make the decision, and if you guys can be total adults about it, it's even better for everybody. Because now the child sees that through a difficult situation, mom and dad kept their cool.
Precisely. Exactly. So, there's actually a report that we saw once that said the average person thinks about divorce for 2 years before they file. And so, and that's the first time the idea of divorce crosses your mind in the middle of a fight, and to the point of, okay, now we're filing for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
On average takes about 2 years to get from start to ready to take action on it. What that means is one person's been thinking about it and slowly disconnecting emotionally from the relationship for 2 years or more. The other person may not be, divorcing them may not even be on their radar. And so what happens is you have one person who is more or less kind of emotionally disconnected, and the other person is still very much, emotionally invested and has been taken by surprise, more or less. And that's where the part comes in. And nobody's saying that the emotions don't have a place, because they do. And it's hard to set aside your own like pain and hurting in a relationship when you're going through a divorce, because divorce affects every aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of change. People don't like change. So it's, there's going to be some emotion involved in it. Of course there is.
Right.
And it can be hard not to bring the kids into that. But when you are able to leave the kids out, then they really benefit from it long term, because they come out the other side of the divorce better adapted. Our goal is for the parents to still be able to sit together and watch their kids graduate together,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's too much. That's not every relationship. We know that, but we try to preserve relationships as much as we can, so that they can be parents together still.
Right. And I think that's important. That's super important. If most people just took a breath just for a second, in spite of how you feel. And yes, like you said, feelings are real. That is a real feeling. Who else is involved in this feeling? Who else would be impacted by this feeling? And it may not just be the child, it may be the family, and the family had such a rapport with that person that they're ready to take their side over your side. Then that's something whole. You treated him horrible, you did this, you did that, she treated you just so it's just I think things, when you have too many people in your family that are involved in your marriage, everybody tends to put their thought and their belief and just their opinions, because that adds more time to everything that you already thought of. So yeah, like
that happens. Families, they love you and they mean well. And friends too, especially friends that have already gone through a divorce. They start the tendency, and it's a natural human tendency, is to compare what is happening in your divorce to what happened in their divorce. The facts may be completely different. So they can actually inject conflict and drag things out, and not meaning to. They're well intentioned. They just they let their emotions affect your emotions. So you have to set boundaries if you can. Just be like, look, I'm going through this. I just need you to love me and let me do it.
Don't let it happen. Let me tell you, okay. Sister been through so okay, so we're not I say this. I've always been the type of person. I'm not the type of person to allow people to be involved in my relationships. Because as soon as I'm about the person that I'm with, I don't have those conversations with you ever again. I'll be like, nope, I'm good. Because if I get hurt or if I feel some type of way, you are going to be the worst person to talk to, because now you're going to egg me on. Oh, yeah, didn't he do that before? I don't need that. No, that's not where I'm trying to be right now. But it happens, you know. I mean, like you said, sometimes they may try to mean well, but they're not really thinking about what they're saying either, because they're just trying to be there for you. And they feel like this is the way to be there for you.
Right. And they're offended on your behalf, right? A lot of times they are offended and hurt that you're hurt. And so they mean well, but a lot of times they do add to the drama in the divorce.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, have you guys done more, like consultations than divorces or separations or anything like that? Or is it just solely kind of like, okay, we're here now and this is kind of what we got to do, but we got to make it, work for both parties?
So in Texas, there is no legal separation. So we don't do separations.
Okay.
But we do, like I said, it's a process, and there is a time the person thinking about divorce is disconnecting from the relationship before they're ready to file. So we offer strategy sessions. There are logistics involved in a divorce, because you have two incomes, two earners a lot of times that have pooled their resources into one house, and making the bills work. Well, now you're going to take that and divide it back out. So what does that look like, logistically? If you're the high wage earner, I can't say that.
High wage?
High wage earner, the person who makes a lot of money in the relationship, well, that might be something different than what it would mean if you're the one who's, going back out into the job market after years and years of being a stay-at-home spouse. So there are different considerations depending on what your situation is. So we offer a strategy session to help people kind of map out and plan for that separation before they're ready to file, if they're not ready to.
Okay. So what would you say to someone that is possibly looking, like they want you to get the paperwork started, and they're like, okay, but at the same time, I'm gonna wait till the paperwork is ready, but I'm not necessarily ready to go that route just yet, but I just want to make sure it's there just in case.
So in Texas, most of the time, you either have a divorce going or you're not. So we don't recommend drafting the petition until you're ready to file it. Because if I file it with the court, it's a public record, which means potentially they could find out it's filed. So don't pull the trigger on it until you're ready to pull the trigger on it, so to speak, right? Now, there are other things, like I said, that there may be other things to get in place before you file. And like I had a client recently who hadn't been a Texas resident long enough to file yet. So, we were getting things in place, getting ready to file, waiting for him to meet his residency requirement so we could file. So it's case specific, but you're either ready for the divorce or you're not in most cases. And what that may mean is, for some people, they just need to be able to say, I've done everything I can to save my marriage, and now I can walk away, knowing that I've done everything I could, and it's just time to split, right? And if you haven't reached that point, if you haven't checked all those boxes, then whatever they may be for you, you know, people have different things they may want to do before they file. Then it's probably not time to file yet. It's, you know, there's still more work to be done. And occasionally we have people who start a divorce and, you know, the parties get into it and they reconcile halfway through. That happens. And when it does, we celebrate for them and good for you. You know, so glad that you've been able to make it work. And then we just, you know, we stop the divorce. It's not impossible that would happen. It's not very common, but it does happen.
Right. Do you do any out of state, or is it just only the state of Texas?
We are only in Texas. The bar rules only let us to practice where we're licensed, and we're only licensed in Texas. But we also have a network of attorneys that we know, like, and trust from everywhere. So most states. So if there's, you know, someone who needs a referral, probably find someone to refer them to.
Okay. Well, what would you like my Mayan tribe to know, dear heart?
Just that divorce is not an end, it's a new beginning. And, you know, I just want to encourage you to go out and be your own hero. Start over, make the life you want instead of the one you have, and make it what you want.
Yes. Woo-hoo. So how can we reach you, dear?
Okay, so you can, we have a contact form on our website, is youngblood-law.com. There you go. Or our phone number is 817-601-5345.
Perfecto. All right, you guys got all the information here. Okay, so we talked about the real deal, because if you think about it, we don't want you to ever think about divorce. No, that's not what we are doing or saying. But what we're saying is this: we're saying that it is a process. It's that band-aid you just don't want to rip off, you know, and it can be just as painful, if not more. We get into relationships, you know, not to see them fail. So we don't want to have to, you know, separate the marriage or anything like that, or separate the child in the marriage. And that's just a whole nother thing. It's a lot, but still, just be mindful. Be mindful. Just pay attention to what's going on. If you feel some type of way or what have you, talk to that person. I mean, I do this to my husband. When I just feel like I really can't talk to my husband, I just be like, sir, I'm gonna need a friend. Not my husband, but a friend. I get to tell you some things. And I get a chance to say all the things that I really want to say, and he can filter through it to actually respond in a way that is just better for us to conversate. And I think it's an amazing thing. I mean, if y'all want to take it, y'all can take it. I mean, it's no big deal. It's just something that we do. You know, we do. Sometimes I say, you know what, it's so deep, I need a stranger to talk to, because you know, you can talk to a stranger a lot better than you can talk to a friend or anything like that, because you know them strangers don't come back. When is the last time you saw a stranger? Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for joining me, living your best life with Lady Myya. And Miss Holly, I appreciate you, dearest. I appreciate your time, your effort, and your energy, and all the tweaks and craziness that was going on with our computers and and audio.
I really enjoyed being on.
Thank you so much, and I hope that you guys definitely do prosper and things get better, you know, and you're able to look at some people and at least help some families, and especially with those adoptions. I think that's an amazing thing. So definitely. Yes. Alrighty, dearest. Well, we will talk to you guys later.